Hey everyone, it is Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I'm recording this video in two places. One is here on Instagram on the Body Scientist page, and the other I'm going to be reposting to YouTube. So you can follow me on YouTube at the Body Scientist 81. So in case you are not familiar with me and my work and my background, I have a degree in exercise and sports science with a concentration in strength and conditioning. I'm also a certified strength and conditioning specialist, which is called a CSCS, certified by the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association. I'm also a sports nutritionist, a USA Olympic weightlifting coach, and I did 2 years of grad school in exercise physiology and nutrition at Columbia University. So the thing is that there's the fitness industry and there's the sports industry, right? So the fitness industry is like general fitness, regular people who are working out to lose weight and to be healthy, right? Or even bodybuilding, people who are competing in bodybuilding competitions and things of that nature. That's all the fitness industry. The sports industry is more geared towards training athletes. So taking athletes over their competitive season and giving them workouts in the weight room that will help peak them on the days they need to be peaked. So what strength and conditioning coaches do is we help athletes to increase performance and decrease injury. So you have the sports coach that teaches them the fundamentals of the game, the skills of the game. The strength and conditioning coaches give them the workouts in the weight room to make sure they can run faster, jump higher, hit harder, not injure their ACL, not tear their hamstring, not injure their shoulder. We look at the common injuries to that sport and that position. We look at the physical and biomechanical demands of that position. And so really I'm qualified to work with any athlete, even if I don't understand the sport, right? And so in this field, like my passion has always been to train high-level athletes, but especially female athletes. That's really where my passion lied. I was never against working with men at all, but I just feel like women have been overlooked so much. Just like in medicine, all the research is done on men, and they act like women are little men, and we're not. There are differences. Women are more prone to certain injuries. You know, we have a menstrual cycle, we deal with pregnancy, we do a lot of other things, and there's a lot of other considerations. And I feel like a lot of female athletes have not reached their full potential because everything is so male focused, right? So my real passion has always been with female athletes. And I feel like the female athlete's ego is not the same as the male athlete. Now again, I'm not saying I'm against working with male athletes. I just always had a soft spot for women. But the issue is, you know, I was in a master's program. I went, you know, my undergraduate degree was from the University of Delaware. The University of Delaware had an excellent program in the sports sciences, one of the best in the country, top of the line equipment. And I got a great education. But then when I went to graduate school, because under the umbrella of exercise and sports science, you have the clinical side of it where you're working with people with disease, people that may have heart issues, just had heart surgery, which is cardiac rehab. You have exercise as it pertains to cancer, diabetes, people with autoimmune diseases. You know, you have like exercise as it pertains to disease like hypertension. So you have that clinical side of it, and then you have the sports side of it. I'm qualified to do both because my undergraduate degree was in exercise and sports science, okay? So they overlap, but they're different, okay? So I'm qualified to do both, but because when I got into graduate school, I wanted to go to FIU in Miami to do my master's in strength and conditioning, but I also got into Columbia University for exercise physiology and nutrition. And sports nutrition and strength and conditioning were my two specialties, right? So I went to the program at Columbia because I'm from New York, so it was an easy move, don't need a car. And my professors in undergrad told me, go to Columbia because, you know, it's known, it's the Ivy League, whatever. But the thing I did not know, because when I graduated college, when I went to graduate school, there was no YouTube and social media. You know, I graduated in 2003 from undergrad, so there was no, like, that stuff wasn't around. So there really wasn't a way to get like guidance and insight from other people. And so I didn't realize that like graduate school is a lot more specific to what you want to do, unlike undergrad. So going into Columbia's program, which is focused on pathology, I was really focused on sports performance. I remember when my professors at Columbia told me, don't try to research how to make people swim faster. They felt like that was unimportant. They just wanted to encourage me to research black people with diabetes and hypertension, and that wasn't my interest. I learned a lot in that program, but at the time it was just, I started realizing it wasn't what I wanted. And so I took, a break, which ended up being many years, and just working in the field because I was still qualified, and I just wanted to tell people the truth and didn't want to be bound by, having to dumb myself down with the fitness industry. At the time, I was working with some athletes, some fencers, female basketball star, who's a big deal now. But this is like 2004, 2005, before people were sharing everything on social media, right? So being in both fitness and sports, where there's really they're two different industries, the fitness industry and the sports industry. Back then, I was writing fitness articles for some publications. That's when magazines were still around, but now people don't read magazines. But I remember a certain publication that plagiarized my article. They took my article, published it, didn't give me credit. I was really pissed off. My dad, who's been a journalist all my life, told me, oh yeah, those big glossy magazines can do that a lot. And so that pissed me off, made me not want to write for a while. And so then I was in graduate school in New York, and I was like, how can I make more money in less time? So I already was into writing fitness articles. So I thought, well, if I'm a fitness model too, like you see in a magazine, there'll be an article about how to get perfect abs in 4 weeks or something. And there'll be an article, but then there'll be somebody who's demonstrating the exercises. And so I was like, well, I'm qualified to do both. If I can do both, I can get paid twice. That was my thinking. Then I started to discover that the fitness modeling world was not in New York. At the time, it was in LA, basically LA and Nevada, but it was also dominated by white women. I rarely saw black women, and then when I did, they were never on the covers, But, so I saw that lack of representation of black women, and just women of color, because it's not even just black women, it's also Asian women, but as a black woman, I'm saying. And then, in the sports world, I recently have decided to really dive back into the sports world more. There's a lot to talk about with the politics of working in the sports world, and I'll do another video about that. But the one thing that I noticed is that strength and conditioning coaches who work for high schools, colleges, professional teams, I never see black women, ever. I have never seen a black woman strength and conditioning coach. 95% of the time, they are white men. Then there's a sprinkle, maybe 90% of the time, then there's a little sprinkle of white women, and then maybe a black man rarely. And then black women, zero. I've never seen black women strength and conditioning coaches. So I've just entered back into a master's program in strength and conditioning, and I'm thinking to myself, am I bugging by going into this field? Because even though I'm qualified and I know my stuff, it's almost like I can see myself there, but I couldn't see myself there because I don't see anybody that looks like me. And it made me really think about that whole, how important it is to see people that look like you places. And growing up, I never felt like because I was a black woman, I couldn't do something. But when you're a black woman, you have being black and being a woman, which are two things that you a lot of times have to fight against. And not just a male-dominated world, but a white male-dominated world. You have those two things. And so I kind of just it's just crazy to me how there's so many amazing black athletes, but you don't see black strength and conditioning coaches. You don't see black women at all, and you rarely see black men. How come we don't see Asians, the Chinese, Koreans? There's a lot of people in the world that have excellent training methods or who are good athletes, and know how to train athletes, but you only see white men. And so I remember, if I think back to my early 20s and what my goals were, it was really to be known in my field, to be known and respected in my field. It was not to be famous, but to be known and respected in my field. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm going to conferences, I felt like I'm the only one. I'm the only black woman here, and it was just like, you know, as a black person, we've all felt that in some type of setting. But in the sports world, it's like those positions, those strength and conditioning positions hardly ever open up, you know. And so I just at first was kind of getting discouraged, like, am I tripping? But yeah, so it's just, I don't feel like it's something that people talk about, the absence of black women in the sports world. And the thing that's crazy, I'm talking about in training, but even with coaches, like, why don't we have we have no female coaches of an NBA team or any male professional team, but we have men that coach professional women. We have men that coach girls high school and girls college and professional, but when it comes to the men, they only have male coaches. So what is that about? What does that say? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of black people who've spoken. I've heard discussions amongst black people about there not being black quarterbacks or black coaches, and what that said that white America or white people thought about the intelligence of black people and black men. But like, you don't see women ever coaching a male's team. So then, you know, combine that with being black, because when I do see women in the strength and conditioning coach world, they're always white. And so, you know, in Chicago, which is a good sports city, and so it's a good place to like get back into that. But even in Chicago, I feel like it's even worse here than it probably is in New York or Florida or something. But I don't know. Just something that was on my mind of thinking about the challenges of being a strength coach. And, you know, because I'm qualified in so many different areas of sports science, I've worked in a lot of different areas. But now I want to get my focus back on that. And I know that this is going to be a challenging thing. And I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a track coach at an Ivy League, and he's Afro-American. And he told me about this black woman strength coach who was an intern. They finally hired her, and he's like, wow, they really hired women, let alone black women. But he said that they gave her like the worst team, like a particular team that just finished being a club sport and is now like one of their teams, but they're the worst. And when I say they're the worst, I mean their scores in the games will be like 3 to 83. So they're getting blown out by like 80 points. And she was given the responsibility of that team. And then there was a white woman strength and conditioning coach that came in after her that was less experienced, that got put with more proficient teams. And so there's a lot of discrimination within the sports training world. Now, I don't know also if the lack of representation of black women, I don't know if it's also because maybe there's not a lot of black women who go into strength and conditioning. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's just that we're not being given the jobs, or there's just not a lot of us going into it to begin with. I don't know. I just never see us. And so if there are any black women strength and conditioning coaches out there, please hit me up. Leave a message on my YouTube video. I would like to hear your perspective. And just know, is there a black strength and conditioning coach, female, somewhere? At least the university that I'm finishing my degree at, the head strength and conditioning coach is a black male. And I was surprised to see that. I'm like, wow, black male. And his assistant is a Hispanic male. So I was really surprised to see that, because you don't see that. But still, never seen a black woman. Like, that's never, okay? Like, black men are rare, black women are never. So anyhow, I hope you guys maybe got something from this conversation. And please share your comments and follow me on YouTube, The Body Scientist 81, and on Instagram, _body_scientist. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.